All right, everybody, 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins here. Let's do some tropical updates out there for today. And of course, we've been watching Invest 97L, and you can clearly see by the numbers here, it is not looking good out there. A 10 to 20% chance of development. That was up to 40% at one point yesterday. And it just doesn't look healthy out there for today. So let's talk about it. We'll make it fast for today. You can see the development area, though, still continues out to the west-northwest. And if you notice the end of it here, Hurricane Center is thinking it's probably going to end up, there's the Northeast Islands right here, right? So they're thinking it's somewhere northeast of there, which is something you really want to see because we've got a big trough coming down here, extending like that, and that would help if anything did develop to kind of get picked up and curved out to sea. So the idea that this thing drifts west-northwest is good. What is it that's drifting west-northwest? Well, not a whole lot right now. A little disorganized for sure. There's no central dense overcast. There's no closed low where we've got winds wrapping all the way around the center. You can see a lot of the convection is out off to the south here. But, you know, it's going to drift off to the west-northwest. The problem is it's going to run into some shear by the latter half of the weekend. And so right now is the best time for this thing to have a chance to get going. Here's the latest on the forecast models, and look at those. A lot of them really starting to recurve it. Now, typically, the weaker the system, the further west it will go. And I think this stays very weak. I don't think this develops. I mean, there's a 20% chance at most, right? Typically, something like that would come further off to the west, but there's an opening here. And so it's just going to drag this moisture right up into it. And that's partly because of this trough that's coming down. Big old trough sitting like that. And so anything coming up and at it gets taken off, just like in that direction, right? So that's what it looks like right now. And I got to be honest with you, most of the modeling's been like this. The GFS at one point was a little bit lower. It's even now a little bit further to the north. Here's all the shear between now and Sunday. And there's not a whole lot of shear in this area where it is now, and there won't be. But then by the time it gets here on Sunday, it's running right into the shear, and that'll just blow it apart. So that forecast remains steady. That hasn't changed. And then clearly, look at all this. Look at all that mid and upper level wind coming down from the northwest. That's the trough. You can clearly see where the trough is right in here, right? That's what helps to pick it up and take it out. So that's a great setup for us. To be honest with you, we've had a trough in the northeast U.S. a lot of this summer. Kind of cool, and then they warm up a little bit, and then they cool right back down. And that pattern doesn't seem to change too much for the next couple of weeks. So that should help at least give us a chance to have a trough there if anything tries to come at us. You can see that right here, right? Starting to lift a little bit. This is the thing where the trough lifts up, then you could get something sliding in underneath of it. But look, that's next Thursday, so that's a way out. All right, so let's talk dust. There is a ton of it over top of us right now. So we're here in the Tampa area, and if you look outside right now, it is just hazy as can be. We don't have as many storms around because the dust dries out the atmosphere, and we won't have as many. We'll have a few, but that'll be just about it. But you can clearly see it out there with very hazy, kind of milky white skies out there. There are some thin clouds out there. There are a few cumulus clouds developing. But for the most part, it's just dust, and the skies are not very blue out there today because of it. Today, I think, is the thickest that we will see. I'm going to run this out through Friday because it will be in the area through Friday, but especially tomorrow and Friday, it'll start to thin out a little bit. Should keep us on the drier side, though, is for local rain, right? And then by the time we get towards Sunday, it's really starting to thin out. There'll be some left over, but I don't think as much that will affect our weather. Now, there's still more dust coming. I mean, that's not this Friday. This is next Friday, right? So a week and 2 days or so. There's another batch here. There's another batch coming here. Another storm comes off of Africa, and it brings more dust. And so the more of this dust you have out here, the more it dries out the atmosphere, the more it makes it harder for storms to get their act together and get going, right? So you're going to have, I mean, look, storms drift across, the dust drifts across. You could have a storm in this hole right here the whole time and do just fine. But this dust normally peaks in late June, early July, maybe even mid-July. It'll peak and then it starts to fall off. But that's quite a bit of dust for this time of year, and that's something I'm not necessarily complaining about. I know you probably aren't either. All right, so let's go out for the GFS. GFS model, here you go. See that right there? That's what it's seeing, okay? So maybe trying to close off a low. And again, this is the area where it's going to have the best chance to do it, right? Well, it's right in here now. But watch as we go out in time. And let's go out to Sunday. That's Saturday. This is Sunday. It doesn't have much of a closed low at all. You can see this little hump right here. That is the lower pressure. This is a high pressure right here. And this is kind of showing you some of the lower pressure right there. Right, it's kind of pushing in on that high pressure, but that's not much. And remember, this is also where it's running into all that shear right here. Okay, so it's going to have a ton of it coming in that direction. And then you can see it kind of get picked up. There it is right there. See it there. Trough sitting here. Actually, something may actually form right up here, although not concerned really about it affecting too many people, but it could be a little coastal storm, something minor up toward the New England area by the 18th, maybe a little bit before that. But bottom line, GFS not seeing much, right? All right, let's talk European model. Same deal. European sees something tomorrow into Friday, maybe. You know, it's just not a lot out there right now. You'd have to really get going tonight and overnight tonight for that to happen. But watch this. Watch as we go into Sunday. There it is. See it? It's got it here in the northeast, just northeast of the islands. Now let's go further out, and there it is. Maybe towards the bottom, it just loses it. There's just nothing there. So European not thinking of it as well too. Looking upstream over Africa, the monsoon season has been enhanced. The Hurricane Center's not the Hurricane Center, but NOAA and Colorado State, they came up with their numbers. They're keeping them above average for the rest of the season over that's been pretty quiet so far. But one of the reasons why they're doing it is because we have these waves. This monsoon season has been pretty enhanced all summer long, and obviously that hasn't changed much. So these are the seeds, right? You get this to come off. If it holds together, like we're tracking this one right here, then it has a better chance to develop. You have nothing coming off, there's just nothing out here. So we're looking upstream here to see what's coming. But keep in mind, these storms are also the ones kicking up all the dust and blowing the dust out as well. So that's where we're at right now. Now, there is some cooler water out there, cooler than normal, but look where it is. This is pretty far to the north. Storms come off, and they usually go south of the Cape Verdes right here. So they're right in this area here. And that water is warmer than normal by quite a bit, as a matter of fact. So there's some energy there. Look, the Caribbean, that's not bad. Look at this, north of Cuba, that's some near normal. And some of the area down here in the Caribbean is actually cooler than normal. But overall, if you look at this picture, that's pretty warm water. So there is energy to work with there. This time of year, especially as we get towards August, we start looking further off towards the east-southeast, out into the Atlantic, obviously the Eastern Caribbean as well too. And just like what we're looking at now, storms coming off of Africa. We've got an invest on it. Looks like it might try and develop. It's a small chance now. Those, if they do develop, those are what are called long track storms that develop way out there in the central or eastern Atlantic. And we're in that time of the year, really. August 1st, I know I show you this every time, but August 1st and beyond, we see about 90% of our storms. So we're just getting into the meat of the season. It's a lot of hype, right, for June 1st. And even with the last 3 or 4 years, 5 years really, we've had so many storms right before June that we're really kind of hyping things up the middle of May, right? All right, get ready, here it comes, right? And then, it should be fairly quiet and until we get into this point. So, all right, guys, that's where it's at. Let me check some of these questions real fast. When they hit the Gulf, they have to shut down the oil rigs. Gas will go up big time. Yeah, if you get a storm in there, that could cause some of those issues, depending on how fast it's moving too. But they would shut it down for a couple days at least. Hopes James says, hope this dust stays around. Yeah, me too. That'd be a good thing to have. The others say it's not a threat. I don't know who they are, Sharon, but that's what I've been saying. So you can kind of go back in time and look at my stuff. This one doesn't look to be an issue at all. I do, this is just the beginning of this, as you can see from here. So we got to watch these. But when you get something that's not looking good, it's way out there right now, and there's a lot of roadblocks in its way, it's kind of tough to do. So we'll keep it on. In fact, look, you can see the dust up here. That's low clouds, but you can see some of the haze kind of color there. Some of that is the dust. All right, guys, that's it. Nothing to concern until after the 15th. Deanna, pretty much. Yeah, what are we at now? It's today the 10th? Yeah, today's the 10th. Yeah, nothing to concern until at least after the 15th. And wait, what do we got? Who do you have? You have the 18th?
Yeah, it's not looking good.
Tyler's got the first hurricane forming the 18th. Grant's the 23rd. Yeah. Natalie was the 28th. What did Rich had the 11th? I put September 4th, but I got in late. It was easy. It was easy for me to do. But I made it a little bit harder because if we make it all the way through August without a hurricane, you don't do that very often, especially on the history that we've had the last 3 years, especially. So I got in on it late, so it's not fair, but I'm still going with that. All right, guys, that's it. Have a great rest of your Wednesday afternoon. Hot out there in Tampa. Not a whole lot of rain around. We'll see a few storms tonight. Kind of same setup next several days. Better rain chances over the upcoming weekend.